Hello audience. In this video we're going to, start finishing this project. This is my 1913 Model T touring car that I bought pretty much as a rolling chassis and have been building it back into a complete car. I've been building a new touring car body for it. That's about the short version of the story. There's a video series on my channel of how it started out and how it got to where it is now. During all that, I have mocked this up a few times just so I could drive it, most notably in its current form now, which I did last year for the 2024 Signal Hill climb. I really wanted this car to be there, even though it's far from being finished, so I just threw it together with whatever I had at the time. I've also had this on other events like the Holiday Motor Excursion last year, and quite a few tours and other things, and as much as I love driving this thing, it is far from finished, and you can really notice it when you look closely. Now, the engine and transmission, I just got done rebuilding that when I assembled this. The rest of the chassis is just kind of temporary stuff. The body, we started painting it, but a lot of it never really got finished. So it's got kind of a combination of good quality reproduction stuff, original stuff that we started restoring and gave up on, and just all around it has to be done by tomorrow kind of workmanship level to it. Which is not a joke. The night before the hill climb I was still working on this thing trying to get it to pass tech. So in this video, I plan to take it apart, figure out where I left off, and figure out a plan of how to finish it. I've been putting this off for a while also because this is one of the best driving Model Ts that I've ever had. The engine, it's quiet, it's smooth. Yeah, it's not the most powerful, but it's a stock engine. The magneto, it actually works. In fact, it actually runs better on mag than it does on battery, like it should. Now, most of the time when I've rebuilt those, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work so good, and you just can't really drive them that way. They barely even run. But this one, yeah, it actually runs better on mag. You can actually start it on mag. In fact, you don't even need a battery to drive this, which is good. That's the way they're supposed to be. I've put about 300 miles, I would say, just as a rough estimate, on this car in its current configuration, and in that time, it has never broken down. There have been a few occasions where I stopped to adjust a few things, but it has never stopped running. It has never had mechanical failure. It's just been a reliable car. And yeah, the general rule is you don't brag about that because the next time you go to drive it, it's going to break down. But that's the joke. I'm done driving it now. Also, I've decided to start on the interior. It's not ready for it yet, but I'm starting on it anyway. Now the back seat bottom cushion, I've started mapping out where the buttons should go. And I've been practicing the diamond tufting technique with this sample piece. That's pretty much what it'll look like when it's done. Except for all this white dust. I don't know where that's coming from. But this is one big reason why I really should stop driving this and start working on it, is this temporary seat upholstery. Now, yeah, when I made it, I knew it was going to be temporary and I wanted it to be cheap and easy, and yeah, I only made this in about 10 minutes with stuff that was already on its way to the trash. And it is better than nothing. It does work, but it's not the kind of workmanship I want my name associated with. I've already had a couple of occasions where I've had to explain to people that, yeah, even though I did this, this is not really my workmanship, but I did it anyway for various reasons, so yeah, I should do something about it. Another little thing I'll mention is this temporary piece here. I had the battery disconnect and the stoplight switch attached to. Not a good place for the battery disconnect because there's no way I'll be able to hide it with the floor mat, but it worked for now. This is a good example of the state of things. Brand new hardware painted, brand new hardware in bare metal, a rusty frame. And it's time to lift the body off. If I forgot to detach anything, we'll soon find out. Now, with all joking aside, if you're going to remove the body from a car, even a small light one like a Model T, you really don't want to do it all by yourself. And you really want to be wearing something safer than open-toed shoes. Now, the Ford repair manual actually does have instructions on how to remove the body. Problem is, their way requires 4 people. Now, if I tried that, first of all, it would take a few days for 3 different people's schedules to work together so they could all be here at the same time. But mostly, and I've seen this from experience, more often than not, instead of all 4 of us working together in harmony, I end up with 3 people telling me that'll never work, and 3 separate opinions on how it should be done, and none of them want to back down, so we spend the whole day arguing. Whereas, if I can do it myself, I know it'll get done, and it'll get done today, which is why I do that more often than not. That does not, however, make it the safest way. I'm doing this at my own risk. This is something I just noticed. The front U-bolts are not even tight. It's the next day. And you may have noticed I turned the car around because the camera doesn't like being pointed right into the sunlight. I've had a few comments about the headlights. Now, the side lights and the tail light are original Edmund & Jones model 1908 that I've already restored the side lights. The tail light I haven't yet. But these are actually replicas that I made myself. And I didn't put the best effort into them, which is why I haven't shown them to you up close. But they do look a whole lot better than nothing. And they currently have 12-volt LED light bulbs in them, and they work pretty good. They shine a good amount of light without blinding everybody else. I have since found a pair of originals that I plan to restore, and those will go on here when we put it back together. I don't know if I'm going to keep them acetylene powered or make them electric. We'll see about that. But the side lights, I'm definitely going to keep those oil powered. And here's one of them. Now, the way I set it up was, it's got a concave reflector in the back of it, like the originals were, and the LED bulb, it's not one of those trick, clever, antique car ones, it's just a pair that I got from AutoZone, and it's positioned in the middle about where the burner would be. I have it positioned so the light shines sideways instead of forward and back, so they're not quite as bright as they could be, which I did on purpose. Because typically LED headlights end up being way too bright. I don't like them, and yeah, the Department of Transportation is not too crazy about them either. So why did I choose LEDs in the first place? Well, just because of their amp draw. These only use about 1.9 amps, which is less than a regular light bulb and way less than a halogen bulb. And it's always a challenge on these non-starter cars. If you're going to use electric lights, what are you going to power them with? On this car, I have an 18 amp hour battery under the seat with no charging system, and I wanted to be able to power these for several hours at a time without completely draining it. And these did exactly that. Now, like I said, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to configure all this when I put it back together, but I'm probably going to leave that battery in it. And one neat thing about working on a car that's been assembled for less than a year is none of the hardware is rusted in or rounded off or stripped out or anything. You just take it apart normally. We're not out here with a hacksaw or a drill or a cutting torch trying to take it apart, which is rarely ever the case when you're starting with a Model T. The clear coat on the engine is still holding up. It doesn't have as much gloss to it as it used to, which makes it look more natural, so I'm satisfied with that. The transmission housing, yeah, like I said before, it needs to be rebuilt, and it still does. In fact, because of the loose pedals, it leaks oil really bad. In fact, it's been spraying oil all over the rear axle and the back of the frame, and also all over the back of the body. So I'm gonna have to clean that up quite a bit. And it's another day. I ended up spending most of yesterday just organizing everything, finding a place to store all the stuff I'm taking off this, and all the boring but time-consuming stuff to remove I did, like the fender brackets, the radiator bolts, the brake rods, all that stuff. And now we're ready to lift the engine out of it, which means I gotta turn this around again. Another trick I do to help prevent losing the hardware is put it back in place when I'm done with it. Well, that's about it for now. I'm going to have to go back and watch my own video series and figure out exactly where I left off on this. But the last big problem I had was the top brackets. I never finished those, and I'm going to have to before I can assemble the body, so that will probably be next. Either that or I'm going to start working on the frame for this. We'll see what happens. But anyway, that's it for now. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.